Under the quiet sky far from the crowded towns of humans, an alien father guarded his nest. He was unlike any creature known on Earth, his skin pale like ice, his eyes glowing faintly under the moonlight. He lived in shadows, never letting humans see him. His whole life was about one thing: protecting the fragile hatchlings he had brought into this world. They were small, albino children of another planet, their bodies glowing faintly with a silver light whenever they breathed. He had kept them hidden for many weeks, deep inside a shelter he had built from broken stones and the roots of old trees. Every night he would count them, watching them sleep in safety, their small chests rising and falling with soft sounds. To him they were more than children. They were hope, the last of his kind. But one night something was wrong. The air felt too still. The silence around the nest felt heavy. When he came closer, his heart froze. The nest was empty. The silver glow that usually danced from the hatchling's skin was gone. The ground was cold, the warmth of their little bodies missing. His sharp fingers dug into the earth as panic spread through him. He searched every corner of the shelter, moving stones, tearing apart the roots, calling out with strange clicks and sounds only the hatchlings would know. No answer came. The night wind blew through the forest, carrying nothing but silence. His chest tightened, his mind racing with fear. Who could have taken them? They were too young to wander far. They depended on him. They could not survive alone. He rushed outside into the forest, his glowing eyes scanning the ground, his body moving like a shadow, and there, faint but clear, he saw it. Small trails on the dirt, marks where the hatchlings had crawled, glowing scales left behind like drops of silver. His heart leapt with hope, but it quickly turned into fear when he saw more. The trails were mixed with something else, footprints, larger ones, human ones. The alien froze, his claws trembling. Humans, the one danger he feared most. If they had touched his hatchlings, if they had seen them, then everything was ruined. He had sworn never to be found, never to let his world mix with theirs. But now maybe it was too late. He followed the trail deeper into the woods, every sound making him turn, every shadow making him cautious. The trees seemed to whisper, their branches creaking under the wind. He felt eyes watching him. Yet when he spun around, there was nothing. The tracks continued, glowing faintly, guiding him further and further. As he moved, memories rushed into his mind, of the night he first hid here on Earth, of the danger he escaped from, of the reason he had promised his hatchlings safety. He remembered how fragile they had been when they cracked open their eggs, their skin almost transparent, their eyes wide and innocent. He had promised he would never let them feel fear, never let harm come to them. But now, fear gripped him instead. He kept hearing things in the distance, strange noises, laughter, faint but chilling. It did not sound like his kind. It did not sound natural at all. The forest felt alive with secrets. The trail finally reached a place where the earth was soft, the prints deeper, clearer. He knelt down and pressed his hand into the dirt. The shape was human, small yet strong enough to carry something. His eyes narrowed, his breath sharp, so it was true. A human had found his hatchlings, but why had the hatchlings gone with them willingly? They would normally cry and hide from strangers. Something was wrong. Something he could not understand. He looked up at the night sky, his heart heavy. The stars above seemed colder. He whispered to himself in his strange tongue, a vow that he would find them, no matter where they had been taken, no matter who had touched them. As the night deepened, his search grew desperate. Every broken twig, every rustle in the leaves pulled him forward, yet the tracks slowly faded, the glowing marks weaker and weaker, as if the hatchlings were far away now. His mind burned with questions, fear, and anger. Then, at the edge of the forest, he paused. The air carried a sound, faint, distant, but sharp enough to pierce the silence. It was laughter, light, playful, but not alien, not his. It was human laughter, echoing across the fields. His claws tightened. His chest shook. He stood there, caught between rage and confusion. His hatchlings were missing, and the sound of humans filled the night. Somewhere out there, his children were in their hands. His glowing eyes burned brighter, his body trembling with both fear and determination. He turned toward the sound, and in that moment, one thing became clear. He would not rest, he would not stop until he found them, until he understood why his hatchlings were gone. The night was no longer silent, it was alive with secrets, and his search had just begun. The night grew darker as he moved deeper into the forest, his pale figure sliding between the trees like a ghost. His eyes glowed faintly, searching for every sign, every mark that might bring him closer to the missing hatchlings. His sharp senses picked up smells, soft trails of warmth, and faint silver glimmers where the little ones had brushed against the ground. Each mark gave him a short moment of hope, but the hope quickly turned into worry when he noticed the strange pattern. The glowing scales of the hatchlings were mixed with larger steps, human steps. He crouched low, his claws tracing the dirt. The prints were clear, heavy enough to belong to someone older, not a child. The weight pressed deep into the mud, showing speed, showing that whoever it was had been moving quickly. He lifted his head slowly. The forest stretched silent all around him, yet he felt it, a presence in the air, something watching from far or near. He was not alone. The wind carried strange whispers. The branches shook though the air was still. He turned sharply, his eyes glowing brighter, yet nothing but shadows answered. Still, he knew he was being followed. It was not just the humans he feared. Earth itself was not safe. There were hunters, seekers, creatures that fed on fear. And if they had sensed the hatchlings, then danger was closer than ever. He pressed on, the trail pulling him forward like a rope. Faint silver glow on the bark of a tree, a broken leaf shining softly. The hatchlings had passed here, but the prints of the human grew stronger too. More clear, the alien felt his chest tighten, his mind burning with questions. Why would they follow a human? Why would they not cry out for him? Had the human tricked them, or was there something else? As he moved further, the forest changed. The trees bent differently, their trunks scarred, the air thicker. Every step echoed in his mind. He stopped suddenly when he heard it, soft laughter, faint, drifting on the night breeze. His breath caught. It was not the laughter of his kind. It was human, light and gentle but chilling in the dark silence. He spun, scanning the trees, but the sound was gone. As if swallowed by the night, his body trembled with anger. He had lived in silence and secrecy, never letting humans near his family. He had sworn to keep them safe. But now the sound of laughter carried like a cruel reminder. His claws dug into the soil as he moved forward, faster now, almost running. The trail leading him toward a part of the forest he had never dared to walk before. The moon broke through the clouds for a moment, silver light spilling across the ground, and there, in the dirt, he saw something that froze him in place. A hatchling scale, larger than the rest, glowing with soft silver fire. He picked it up carefully, holding it close, the warmth still inside. Proof that his hatchling had been here not long ago. His chest filled with both hope and fear. If they were alive, he could still reach them. But if humans had touched them, the danger was even greater. The night grew heavier, the forest alive with strange noises. An owl called, leaves rustled though no wind passed. His every step sounded too loud. He slowed down, moving silently again, his eyes glowing brighter, his breathing soft. He listened so hard that even the smallest noise could not escape him. Then it came again, faint but sharp. Footsteps not far away. He pressed himself against a tree, his body blending with the shadows. He waited, his heart pounding. The sound of footsteps grew clearer, a rhythm on the soil. Someone was walking slowly, carefully, like they too were hunting. He lowered himself closer to the ground, ready to spring if danger appeared. But when the sound reached the clearing ahead, it stopped. Silence returned. For a long moment, nothing moved. He stepped forward quietly, each step controlled, his claws sliding over the dirt without a sound. He reached the clearing and his glowing eyes scanned the ground. What he saw made his chest burn with confusion. There were footprints, many of them, but not just human. Small claw marks mixed in. His hatchlings had been here, but instead of fear, their prints showed no sign of struggle. They had moved calmly, as if following willingly. This thought shook him. Why? Why would they follow a stranger? They should fear humans, they should only trust him. Yet the trail showed otherwise. Something had changed. Something he did not understand. He moved again, following the path, every mark guiding him deeper toward the unknown. His steps grew faster, but the forest grew stranger, darker. The trees twisted, the air carried whispers, and though no one was near, he felt eyes on his back. Heavy and sharp, he turned quickly, his eyes burning like fire. But again, nothing, just the silence. The laughter came once more, soft, echoing through the trees, closer this time. It carried a strange calmness, almost playful, and it chilled him to the core. His hatchlings were near it, he could feel it. The sound wrapped around him like a rope, pulling him toward a place hidden in shadows. The alien father clenched his fists, his breath deep, his heart burning with fear, anger, and confusion. The hatchlings were alive, but they were not alone. Someone had them, someone human, and perhaps something more. As the trail grew faint, he stopped for a moment, looking at the endless forest ahead. The mystery deepening, he whispered in his strange tongue. A promise to his children. A vow that no matter who had taken them, No matter what force hid them, he would find them. He would not rest until they were safe again. And as the night pulled him deeper, the sound of laughter echoed once more, sharp and chilling, like the forest itself was mocking him. His journey into darkness had only just begun. The next morning arrived slowly, the sun rising over the hills, painting the sky with pale colors. The alien father stood at the edge of the forest, watching the human town in the distance. He had never gone so close before. For years he had lived in shadows, hiding from human eyes, but now he had no choice. His hatchlings were gone, and every trail, every whisper of the night had led him here. The town looked peaceful, small houses with red roofs, smoke rising from chimneys, children running along dusty streets. The alien narrowed his glowing eyes. Behind that peace he felt danger. Humans were unpredictable. Some were gentle, but others hunted anything different. Anything strange. If they had seen his hatchlings, what would they do? Hide them, hurt them, sell them? He could not guess. He pulled his cloak tighter around him. A disguise he had made long ago from old cloth and dark leather. It hid his pale skin. It dimmed the faint glow of his body. From a distance he might pass as one of them. Only his glowing eyes would give him away. But he lowered his hood and stepped carefully toward the town. His movements calm, though inside his chest his heart burned. As he entered the narrow streets, he felt eyes on him. Humans passing by, looking curiously but not stopping. He tried to walk like them, slow, heavy steps, but he could not hide the way his body moved with silence. Too quiet, too sharp. He turned a corner and stopped near a market stall. Listening, always listening. Two boys stood nearby, whispering to each other. Their voices low but sharp to his ears. I saw them. Little glowing lizards near Miller's barn, one said. His eyes wide with excitement, the other shook his head but smiled. You're lying, there's no such thing. Maybe you saw fireflies, but the first boy insisted. No, I swear they were small and white like babies, but not human. The alien froze, his chest tightening, his hatchlings. They were speaking about his hatchlings. He leaned closer, pretending to look at fruit on the stall. His ears catching every word. The boys laughed. Then one of them lowered his voice. And you know what? That girl saw them too. The strange girl, the one who lives near the old barn. She told me they even sleep beside her. His blood turned cold. A human girl. The hatchlings were with a human girl. Why, how? Nothing made sense. Fear and anger rushed through him, yet also confusion. The hatchlings would not normally trust humans. Why were they calm with her? Why were they not afraid? He stepped back into the street, the voices fading as the boys ran off. But his mind was burning. The barn, the girl, everything pointed to them. He walked slowly through the town, watching, listening, his eyes hidden under the hood. Near the well, he stopped again. Two older women spoke in hushed voices. That child is strange, one whispered. She talks to herself. She walks alone in the woods, and she says she dreams of stars. Maybe the spirits are with her. The other shook her head nervously. Spirits or something darker, I don't trust her. She is not like us. The alien felt a chill. This girl was different, even humans thought so. Maybe that was the reason. Maybe that was why the hatchlings stayed with her. Maybe she was not completely human. Or maybe she carried some secret, whatever the truth. He needed to see her with his own eyes. He moved further into the town. His senses sharp, and then he felt it. A gaze soft but steady, he turned, and there she was. A girl no older than 13, standing across the street, holding a small basket, her eyes fixed on him. She did not look afraid. She did not even look surprised. She just watched him, calm like she had been waiting. The alien froze, his chest tightening. He had hidden from humans for years, but this girl, this simple child, stared at him like she could see through every shadow. Her eyes were bright, not glowing, but deep, and for a moment he thought she smiled. A small, knowing smile. He turned quickly, pulling his hood lower, moving away into another street. His steps fast but silent when he looked back. She was still there, still watching, still smiling faintly, and in that moment he knew she was connected. She was tied to his missing hatchlings. Somehow she knew where they were. Maybe she even had them with her. The alien's mind raced, the barn, the whispers, the laughter he had heard in the night. All of it now pointed to this girl, the one who the town called strange, the one who dreamed of stars. He clenched his fists under his cloak, his heart burning with a mix of anger, confusion, and fear. He left the busy street, slipping back into the shadows of the town's edge, his body trembling with thought. Tonight he would go to the barn. Tonight he would see with his own eyes the truth that humans whispered about, the truth this girl seemed to guard, The sun was still high, but his mind was already racing ahead. As he walked away, he thought of the girl's calm smile. Her steady eyes, how she did not flinch, did not turn away. Most humans feared him even when they only caught a glimpse of his shadow. But this one she did not fear at all, and that made her more dangerous, or maybe more important, than anyone he had ever met. The day grew long, and he returned to the forest waiting for night, the memory of her gaze haunting him. The hatchlings were alive, he was certain now, but they were not lost. They were with her, a human girl who was not afraid, a girl who carried secrets even humans did not understand, and when night returned, he would find out why. The night was heavy, the sky covered with dark clouds, the moon hiding behind them. The alien father moved silently across the fields, his cloak brushing the tall grass, his eyes glowing faintly in the shadows. He had waited all day for this moment, waiting in the forest, watching the town from afar, waiting for darkness to hide his steps. Now the time had come. Tonight he would see the truth. Tonight he would find his hatchlings. The air was colder near the edge of the town. The barn stood alone, old and broken. Its wooden walls cracked, its roof bent with age. Once it had held animals. But now it was only an empty place. Or so the humans thought. The alien moved closer, every step careful, his senses sharp. He could hear the sound of insects, the distant bark of a dog, the creak of the old barn doors moving slightly with the wind. Then he saw it, faint but clear, a glow spilling out from the cracks of the wood, a silver light, soft and familiar. His chest tightened, his hatchlings, they were inside. He froze for a moment, his claws trembling. He wanted to rush in, to hold them, to take them back, but something stopped him. The glow was calm, not frightened, not desperate. It was the glow of peace, the glow of sleep. He pressed himself against the side of the barn, his ear close to the wood, listening. Inside he heard soft breathing, small sounds, the little ones. He could almost hear their tiny heartbeats, but then another sound, a softer one, slow, steady human breathing. His chest tightened again. It was her, the girl. She was inside too. He slipped to the back where the wood was weaker, his claws pressing gently. Pulling one board away without sound, he leaned close, his glowing eyes peering into the darkness, and what he saw made him freeze. His hatchlings lay on a pile of hay, curled together, their silver skin glowing faintly, their small bodies rising and falling with gentle sleep, and beside them, resting with one hand over them, was the girl. She looked peaceful, her hair loose around her face, her chest moving with slow breaths. She was not afraid, not restless. She slept as if she belonged there, as if guarding them. His hatchlings were not hiding from her, not crying, not trembling. They were curled against her body like she was part of their nest. His heart shook with confusion. Why? Why were they so calm with her? Why did they trust her? He had raised them to fear humans, to stay hidden, yet here they were wrapped around her, their tiny claws holding her close, their glowing eyes shut in safety. He pulled the board wider, stepping into the barn with silent feet. The floor creaked under his weight, and instantly the girl's eyes opened. Wide and clear, she did not scream, she did not jump in fear. She only looked at him, her gaze steady, her lips curving into the faintest smile. The alien froze, his body tense, his claws ready. He had expected fear. He had expected her to cry out, to run, to call for help. But she did none of that. Instead, she slowly raised her hand, gently stroking the back of one hatchling, her voice soft and calm. They are safe. You don't need to be afraid. His chest burned with anger and confusion. How could she speak as if she knew him? As if she understood. His eyes glowed brighter. The hatchling stirred at the light, one of them opening its small eyes. But instead of running to him, it pressed closer to the girl. His heart ached at the sight. He stepped forward, the wood groaning under his weight. His voice came out low, sharp, a sound not human. Filled with warning, the girl did not move. She kept her hand on the hatchling, her calm eyes never leaving his. I found them in the woods, she whispered. They were cold, they were hungry, they were lost. I kept them safe. The alien's claws curled, his breath heavy. He wanted to believe her, but how could he? She was human. Humans could not be trusted, yet here his hatchlings lay, alive, unharmed, sleeping peacefully. Their tiny bodies curled against her. He moved closer, the glow of his body filling the barn. The girl tilted her head slightly, her face still calm. You are their father, she said softly, not as a question, but as a truth. I knew you would come. His eyes widened, his heart pounded. How could she know that? No human should know. No human could understand, yet she spoke with certainty, her voice steady, like she had been waiting for this moment. He reached out a claw, his hand trembling as he touched one hatchling gently. The little one stirred but did not move away from the girl. His chest tightened. They had accepted her. They had chosen her. The girl slowly sat up, careful not to wake the little ones. She looked at him with clear eyes. "They are special," she whispered. "Not just to you, not just to me, they are meant for something greater." The alien's breath grew heavy. His mind filled with questions. What did she mean? How did she know? Who was she? The night grew colder. The wind howled against the broken barn walls. The silence inside heavy with mystery. The alien father stood only steps away from his children, yet he felt further from understanding than ever. His hatchlings were alive, but they were no longer only his. They were connected to this strange human girl, a girl who did not fear him, a girl who seemed to know more than she should, and as he stared into her calm eyes, a new fear crept into his heart. Perhaps she was not an ordinary girl at all. Perhaps she carried secrets as deep as his own, secrets that tied her fate to his hatchlings and to him. The barn was quiet, the old wood groaning softly as the wind pushed against it. The alien father stood in the shadows, his glowing eyes fixed on the human girl who sat calmly among the hatchlings. His claws twitched with tension, his heart burned with confusion. Nothing made sense. The hatchlings should have been afraid. They should have cried out for him, yet they lay curled against her as if she were part of their family. The girl's eyes did not leave his. They were calm, steady, too calm for someone staring at a creature like him. Most humans would have screamed, would have run, but she only lifted her small hand and gently stroked the head of the nearest hatchling. Her voice came soft, almost like a whisper. "They were lost. I found them. I kept them safe." The alien's body shook with anger. He wanted to snatch them away, to hide them once more from human eyes, but something in her voice made him pause. It was not fear, it was not greed. It was something else, something that almost sounded like truth. He stepped closer, his glowing form filling the barn with faint silver light. The hatchlings stirred at his presence, their little eyes opening, yet instead of running to him, they pressed closer to the girl, their tiny claws gripping her clothes. His chest ached at the sight. How could they choose her over him? The girl lowered her gaze to the hatchlings and smiled softly. "They trust me because I never wanted to harm them," she said. Then she looked up again, her eyes strangely deep for someone so young. "And I knew they did not belong to this world." The alien froze. His breath caught. His glowing eyes narrowed. How could she know? No human should know. But she spoke as if she had always known. He hissed softly, a warning sound, his claws digging into the wooden floor. Still, she did not move back, she did not tremble. She simply tilted her head and whispered, "You are their father, aren't you?" Her tone was gentle, but it carried certainty, not a question, a truth she already believed. His body stiffened, the barn heavy with silence. The girl's voice broke it again, this time softer. "I've been waiting for you." The alien felt his chest tighten. Waiting? What did she mean? How could she have waited for him? His kind had never spoken to hers. He had lived hidden, unseen, yet this small human child spoke as if she had known of him all along. He growled low, his voice deep, rough, not human, but she understood the meaning in it. She shook her head slowly, her hair falling across her face. "Don't be angry," she whispered. "I did not steal them, they came to me. They were hungry, they were weak, they needed someone, so I gave them food, I gave them warmth, and they stayed." The alien looked down at his hatchlings, their silver glow soft against her body, their eyes closed again, sleeping peacefully, his heart filled with conflict. He had searched with fear and rage, imagining them hurt, imagining them hunted, yet here they were, alive, safe. Cared for by this strange child, he moved closer, crouching, his glowing face near hers, his voice a sharp hiss, filled with demand. "Who are you? Why do you know of me? Why do they stay with you?" The girl blinked slowly, her hand never leaving the hatchlings. Her voice still calm. "I'm just a girl," she said. "But I have always felt different. The others in the town whisper about me. They call me strange. They say I dream of things that don't exist, but I know what I have seen. I know the stars." Her eyes flickered as if light lived inside them, her words soft but heavy. "Sometimes in my dreams I see your world. A sky filled with fire and silver rivers. I hear cries like theirs. I see shapes like you. I thought they were only dreams, but then one night, I found them in the forest and I knew." The dreams were true. The alien's chest trembled, his glowing eyes widened. Could it be? Could a human child truly see his world? His people in her dreams? Was she touched by something beyond? The girl smiled faintly, her hand resting on the hatchling's tiny chest. They knew me, she whispered. They did not run from me, because I was already part of their dreams. Just as they were part of mine, the alien stepped back slightly, confusion and fear mixing within him if this was true. If the girl was tied to his world in ways he could not understand, then the hatchlings were not just drawn to her by chance. They were connected. The girl's voice grew softer, almost like the wind itself. You came here to hide them. But they are not only yours, they belong to something greater, and I am meant to be with them. She looked at him again, her eyes steady. I can help you, but you must not fear me. The alien's claws curled tight. His heart burned. She was only a child, yet she spoke as if fate itself had placed her here. He wanted to reject her words, to take his hatchlings and vanish. Yet something deep inside warned him. She was not lying. The barn fell silent again, only the sound of the hatchlings' soft breaths filling the air. The alien stared at her, his mind spinning. Who was she? Why was she chosen? Why did destiny tie her to him? The girl slowly leaned back, resting her head against the hay, her hand still on the hatchlings, her voice barely a whisper now. Do not fear, I will protect them even from your enemies. I promise. The alien father stood still, his glowing eyes locked on her, his heart torn between trust and suspicion. But one thing was clear. This human girl was no ordinary child. She carried secrets hidden even from herself, secrets that tied her fate to his children. And as the night deepened, the alien realized something he did not want to admit. He could no longer protect his hatchlings alone. Their survival was now tied to her, a fragile human child who dreamed of stars. The barn was quiet. The hatchlings were curled close to the girl, their soft glowing bodies warm against her arms. The alien father stood a few steps away, his eyes still burning with doubt, his claws twitching with unease. He wanted to take them and vanish, yet something kept him frozen. Maybe it was the strange calm in the girl's eyes. Maybe it was the way the hatchlings clung to her as if they had chosen her. He did not know, but before he could decide, the night itself changed. A sound came from far away, faint at first, then sharper, boots pressing into the earth, voices low and rough. The alien's head snapped up, his body stiff. Danger. He could smell it in the air. The girl sat up straight, her hand tightening around the hatchlings. She heard it too, the sound of men approaching. The old barn shivered as the steps drew closer. Then came the metallic clink of weapons. Strange human weapons. Not normal farming tools, not simple sticks, but heavy machines built for harm. The alien crouched low, his glowing eyes narrowing hunters. He had feared this moment since the day he first hit on Earth. And now they were here. The girl looked at him, her voice a whisper. They're coming for you, she said, but the alien shook his head slowly, his voice a deep growl. Not for me, for them. His eyes flicked to the hatchlings, their glow too bright, too strange to stay hidden. The footsteps grew louder, circling the barn. Shadows passed across the cracks of the wood. The hatchlings stirred in fear, their tiny voices crying softly. The girl pressed them close to her chest, whispering comfort, but her own face was pale. A loud voice called out, sharp and cruel. We know you're in there, creature. We saw the glow. You cannot hide anymore. The alien's chest rumbled with anger. He knew these men, not by face but by nature, hunters of the unknown, seekers of profit and power. They would not stop until they captured his children. The barn doors shook as heavy hands slammed against them. The wood cracked, dust falling from above. The girl gasped but did not move. She held the hatchlings tighter, her eyes fixed on the alien. What do we do? She whispered, her voice trembling. The alien straightened slowly, his tall frame rising, his claws gleaming faintly in the silver light. His voice came low, steady. I protect them. I protect you. The doors cracked again, splinters flying, then a loud crash as one side burst open. Men with dark clothes and glowing weapons stepped inside, their eyes filled with greed and fear. The moment they saw the alien, they raised their weapons, but before they could fire, one of them froze, his eyes wide. They're the babies, they glow. Just like the stories, the hatchlings cried out, pressing into the girl, their bodies shaking. The girl stood suddenly, her small frame blocking the hunters, her arms spread wide. No, she shouted, her voice breaking. You can't take them. The hunters laughed cruelly, one stepping forward. Move, child, or you'll fall with them. The alien's body trembled with rage, his eyes blazing brighter. In one swift move, he stepped forward, placing himself between the girl and the men. His claws spread wide, his breath heavy, his growl filling the barn. The hunters hesitated, fear flickering in their eyes, but greed pushed them on. Their leader snarled, "Take him down and grab the hatchlings." The weapons hummed, beams of energy sparking. The alien crouched low, ready to strike, but before he moved, the girl's voice rang again, softer this time, yet powerful. "Leave us," she said, her eyes shining strangely in the light. For a moment, even the hunters paused, confusion flashing in their faces. The alien felt it too. Something was inside her voice, something not human, a strange force that touched the air. The men shook their heads quickly, breaking free from the moment and raised their weapons again. The alien roared, leaping forward. The barn exploded with chaos, wood cracking, hay scattering. The alien moved like a shadow, claws tearing through the weapons, sparks flying. The hunters shouted in fear, firing wildly, beams of light cutting through the dark, but none touched the girl or the hatchlings. He blocked them all, his body moving with furious speed. One hunter fell, his weapon smashed, another was thrown into the wall. The others backed away, fear finally overtaking greed, but the leader stood firm, aiming directly at the girl. "If we can't take them, we'll take her," he shouted. The alien froze for a split second, his chest burning, but before the leader could fire, the hatchlings cried out, their glow suddenly brighter, the barn filled with silver light. The leader stumbled back, blinded. The alien struck with all his strength, the weapon shattered. The man falling to the ground, silence followed. The hunters broken and fleeing, crawling out into the night, leaving their weapons behind. The barn shook with the last echo of their cries. Then it was still again. The alien stood panting, his claws dripping with dust and sparks, his body trembling with rage and relief. He turned slowly, his glowing eyes softening. The girl still stood with the hatchlings pressed against her, her face pale but her eyes calm. She looked at him and whispered, "I told you. I will protect them too." The alien stared at her, confusion filling him once more. She was only human, yet she had stood between death and his children. And when danger came, something inside her voice had touched even the hunters, something powerful, something not of this world. The hatchlings crawled from her arms, climbing toward him. But even as they pressed against their father, they looked back at her, their eyes glowing softly, as if they belonged to both of them now. The alien father felt a weight in his chest. The battle was won, but a greater truth was becoming clear. His children were no longer his alone. They had chosen her, and fate itself seemed to have chosen her too. The danger was far from over. But tonight proved one thing. He could not face it without her. The wind howled outside, carrying the smell of fear left by the hunters. The alien raised his head, his glowing eyes burning brighter. This was only the beginning. The hunters would return, more would come, and the secret of his hatchlings would not stay hidden. But now he was not alone, and neither were they. The night was heavy with silence after the hunters fled. The barn smelled of smoke and dust. Broken wood lay scattered across the floor, and the weapons of the men sparked weakly before fading out. The alien father stood tall in the center, his chest rising and falling with sharp breaths, his claws still trembling from the fight. His glowing eyes slowly dimmed as he looked toward his hatchlings. They were safe, curled against the girl once more, their small bodies glowing softly in the dark. For the first time since they had gone missing, he felt relief, but it was not complete, because even though they were with him again, they were not only his anymore. The girl sat on the hay, her arms wrapped protectively around them, her face pale from fear but her eyes calm, steady, like she had known this moment would come. She looked up at him, her voice soft. "They need both of us." The alien froze, her words echoing in his mind. He wanted to deny them. He wanted to believe only he could keep them safe. Yet the truth lay before his eyes when danger came. The hatchlings had not only run to him, they had clung to her. They had cried out for her, their glow brighter when she held them. He stepped closer, his glowing body casting light over her small frame. His claws touched the hay near her, his voice low, deep, not human, filled with both warning and question. "Who are you? Why do they trust you?" The girl lowered her gaze for a moment, stroking the soft scales of the hatchlings. "I don't know everything," she whispered. "But I know I was meant to find them. I dreamt of them long before I saw them. I dreamt of you too, a pale figure in the dark, guarding children made of light." She lifted her eyes again, her stare steady. "I thought it was only a dream. Until that night when I found them lost in the woods." Her voice trembled slightly, but she continued. "When I touched them, I felt it, something inside me like a door opening. And I knew they were not afraid of me because they had already known me in those dreams." The alien's chest tightened, his glowing eyes narrowing. Her words carried weight. Her voice shook with truth. He did not understand it, but he could not deny it. Fate had tied her to them. The hatchlings stirred, their small claws pressing against both their father and the girl. Their glowing eyes flicking between them, they chirped softly, a sound of peace, of belonging. The alien looked down at them and felt his anger weaken. They were happy. They were alive, and they had chosen her as much as they had chosen him. He stepped back slowly, his tall frame looming over the barn. His mind racing, the hunters would return. More powerful, with more weapons. Tonight was only the beginning. He could protect his children with claws and strength. But perhaps that would not be enough. Perhaps the girl's strange gift, her dreams, her bond with the hatchlings, was part of their survival too. The girl stood carefully, lifting one hatchling into her arms. The others following, she walked toward him without fear, her small figure dwarfed by his shadow. But her step steady, she held out the hatchling, its glow lighting both their faces. "We are their family now," she said softly. The alien looked at her, his heart heavy with a mix of fear and acceptance. He reached out his claws and gently touched the hatchling's head. The little one chirped, pressing against both of them, and for the first time the alien did not feel alone. The barn creaked as the wind howled outside, the smell of smoke fading into the night. The alien turned his glowing eyes to the dark fields beyond. Danger still waited. The hunters would spread word of what they had seen. Others would come, men more ruthless, forces more powerful. His secret was no longer safe. But when he looked back at the girl holding his children with such care, he felt a strange calm. Maybe fate had brought her. Maybe destiny had chosen her. Maybe she was never fully human at all. Her eyes still carried that strange depth, as if the stars themselves had left a piece of their light inside her. The hatchlings yawned, curling together in her arms. Their glow soft and peaceful, the alien lowered himself, crouching so his face was close to hers, his voice a deep whisper. "If they chose you, then I cannot turn away." His eyes burned with determination. "But know this, danger will follow us and you will not be safe." The girl smiled faintly, though her face was tired. "I was never safe in this town," she said. "They always feared me, called me strange. Maybe this is where I belong, maybe with you and them. I finally have a place." The alien's chest filled with something he had not felt in years, not fear, not anger, but something close to hope. Perhaps together, they could face what was coming. Perhaps his hatchlings had not only found safety, but had found the bond that would shape their future. The night stretched long, the barn standing silent again. The hunters gone, the danger not yet over, but inside there was peace for the first time since they vanished. The hatchlings slept without fear, cradled by both their father and the strange human girl. And as the alien father stared into the dark horizon, his glowing eyes burning against the shadows, one thought refused to leave his mind. Maybe she was more than human. Maybe she was part of something greater. Maybe she was the reason his hatchlings had survived at all. The wind blew through the broken barn, carrying with it the faint smell of rain, and the alien knew this was only the beginning of a longer journey. But he also knew he would not take it alone. His hatchlings had chosen. And in their choice he found an answer he had not expected. They were not just his children anymore. They were hers too, bound by fate, by dreams, and by something neither human nor alien could yet explain. And as the night grew darker, the alien whispered a silent vow. He would fight for them. He would fight for her. And together they would face whatever came from the shadows.